So I wanted to talk about pivoting and going back to school and what that was like for me.
Tomorrow I have to go to school. Day 3 of the school. Hi guys, last day of school.
So I wanted to talk about pivoting and going back to school and what that was like for me. During this period of time, aka COVID, there is a lot of pivoting that has to be done. Pivot, 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 pivot. And all I can think about is
Pivot! 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 Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I feel like that scene, if you go look at it, Ross wants to carry this sofa up the stairs and he has this well thought out plan, he's written it all and he thinks that, okay, I've planned it, it's gonna go smoothly, let's just do it. And as he's doing it, he realizes, hey, we're facing a bit of trouble and he's getting frustrated and all he has is to just keep shouting the word pivot. And I think pivoting is a lot like that. It looks very easy on paper, go take up a course and you will get a job in a different industry, in a different area. But then when you're actually doing it, when you're going through the motion, you realize that this plan is oversimplified. And then you get really frustrated and you start to feel like this is not working out, what am I doing, what is going on? So looking back at the journey that I've gone through and having spoken to other people who are going through this process, I would like to say that I have 3 tips, but actually I don't really have the tips in my mind, but I'll just see if they come up to the number 3. But the first tip is definitely pivoting is hard. It is hard. Don't let the ads or the videos or the story of success that is being shown on social media or the news give you the wrong impression or expectation. Those people probably went through a difficult time as well. It's just that when you do a video or when you write an article, the struggle is not there because you don't actually walk through that period of time when the person is struggling and unsure of the future and the future hasn't happened yet. It's very easy to forget that feeling of struggle when you're looking back on hindsight, when you already got the job, when you were already successful and you're looking back at the time, it's just different. Sometimes you can even try to pivot into the wrong thing and you're like, oh my god, this is not for me. For example, I thought that I really wanted to do data science and I went to a workshop and I was like, this is not for me. And I just basically had switched my plans. The second thing I would say is it's very difficult to pivot completely into something new. The idea of the word pivot is that you kind of find something from your past experience and you find something in your future where you want to go and you kind of find this little point that they meet in the middle and you try to squeeze your way into that. It's very hard to jump from, let's say, one completely unrelated industry to another completely unrelated industry. It's not that it's not possible, maybe it is. I don't know if anyone has successfully done that without actually putting in the work in terms of experience and the length of time touching the new industry. You always have to spend time and slowly gain our experience. Tip number 2, or rather observation number 2, is that these short courses are not enough. They're just a starting stone. You are just touching the water at the edge of the beach. You haven't even really started swimming. That's how I would really describe these workshops or these short courses that are being run. Not that they are not useful, they are very helpful, especially when you are coming from a place of zero or knowing nothing. They are very useful. In fact, it might be challenging to actually absorb everything in this short period of time, but it is just the very, very beginning of the journey, and there will definitely be so much more learning that you have to do and practice that you have to do and just a lot of groundwork that needs to be done, other than just getting your certification or your specialist diploma. The third thing I would like to say, maybe it's more of an encouragement. This process requires a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance, a lot of optimism, and a lot of flexibility. I don't know if that's a word, but you kind of keep changing your plans all the time. And sometimes it can get really frustrating because you just want to like, yeah, that's where I want to go and then zoom there. But pivoting feels a little bit more like here. You're constantly just taking one step forward and saying, for me, not for me, tweaking as I go and kind of fine tuning your direction. Sometimes you feel like you are in the completely wrong direction, and that's fine too. I think that's just a process of exploring and trying to figure out which direction you want to go. It's one thing to know that this is part of the process, it's another thing to be okay with the process while you're in it, because it can get frustrating, it can get confusing, and if you're impatient, like most of us, because as adults we want to get somewhere, it can get really frustrating. And I guess the third point is more of encouragement to say that this is part of the process. Yeah, I think even young people who just graduated will feel this kind of frustration as well, because you're trying to figure out where you want to go. And for some people it's a very like straightforward route, they want to be a doctor, they want to be a lawyer, and then there's only one way there. But I think for many of us, trying to figure out the kind of career that we want is a process, and we have this idea in mind that we want to work towards, and we will slowly get there. And I think that is something important to bear in mind, so you don't get too discouraged, and you also learn to just enjoy the journey and be observant about the things that you're good at, not good at, the things that you enjoy and don't enjoy. Learning about yourself, about your strengths, your weaknesses, what you like to do, what you dislike to do, what gets you into the flow, and what you struggle with. I think all these points are definitely things that, or observations that are never useless. And this is also a message to myself. The journey is never useless if you observe and if you learn and if you are able to use all this experience and kind of direct yourself into the right career path or the right way, the right, yeah, I don't know, life. That's all I have to say.